just his 7th season, Miami quarterback Dan Marino already ranks among the NFL's all-time top passers. The only quarterback in NFL history to produce 4 4,000-yard seasons. As quickly as his lightning release, Marino has thrown 200 touchdown passes. Today, he'll guide his team in a key midseason Eastern matchup with the Indianapolis Colts. The Colts, without Eric Dickerson, will be looking to the receiving and rushing talents of Albert Bentley, a Florida native. University of Miami standout Bentley will be on the Gallup versus Miami today.
NBC Sports presents the National Football League. Today, it's the Indianapolis Colts versus the Miami Dolphins.
Joe Robbie Stadium, over 50,000 expected for this AFC Eastern battle. It's a sauna in southern Florida. It's in the 80s, high humidity. It'll be a wilting kind of temperature, especially might affect the Colts, who are 2 games behind front-running Buffalo, as are the Dolphins at 4-4. Obviously, a key win here for either team keeps them in the hunt. A possible wild card berth, a loss. Well, this might be a long season. Bill Walsh, who returns to Joe Robbie Stadium, first time since winning the Super Bowl.
Well, all I saw when I was here before was the hotel room, the bus, the practice field, and then this field. Now that I see the stadium, it's beautiful.
You didn't see the stadium before?
All I saw was a sea of faces.
All right, let's talk about Super Bowl hopes. And Ron Meyer at the beginning of this year thought his team was good enough to go all the way. They're 4-4, and he's not happy about it.
Well, he's not happy, but that doesn't mean they still can't go all the way. They have a good team, a solid team, but they're going to have more continuity to play better week after week rather than have high points and low points.
And they have to play today without their top stallion in that Colt corral, Eric Dickerson.
Well, Eric won't play today, but Albert Bentley is a fine running back. He's got all the skills. He can't wait to play. He's going to have Chris Hinton blocking in front of him on that left side, so you'll see him carry the ball maybe 20, 25 times.
Miami has the top gun, Dan Marino. They lead the league again in passing offense. No surprise there.
Well, no surprise. A great pass offense, one of the great quarterbacks of all time, a great bevy of receivers. But once again, the lack of a running game. They're going to have to, at some point, develop one. Maybe it's 2 or 3 years from now. But at this point, they don't have one back that's gained even 60 yards in a given contest.
And, of course, they've also suffered more than their share of injuries at that position. Troy Stratford out for the year with a knee injury and surgery. And Don Shula, nevertheless, 4-4. And many felt at the start of the season that Shula's club wouldn't have that good a record. And he has the easiest of schedules the rest of the way, the final 8, and could conceivably steal a spot as a wild card team. And Ron Meyer, just you get some vibrations out of that Colt camp now that things are a bit tense. They're hungry for a win and were deeply wounded by that overtime loss last week against New England, a team they felt they should have beaten by a couple of touchdowns. In the blue jerseys, it'll be the Colts who receive as Stoyanovich, a former Indiana University kicking star, drills it deep to Clarence Verdun. He'll take the touchback, and the Colts open at the 20. Jack Trudeau at quarterback for the Colts. Chris Chandler, of course, starting the year out with an injury. Hinton, Dixon, Donaldson, Utt, and Call, that big offensive line, one of the best in the NFL. Albert Bentley starts for Dickerson at the running back spot. Pat beats the tight end with Brooks and Risen, the rookie from Michigan State, at wide receiver. Mark Boyer, the other tight end. When they go to 3 wide receivers, Boyer goes out, and Clarence Verdun, the speedster, comes in. Trudeau hitting on only 50% of his pass attempts. That's not good enough in this league. Bentley gets the call and slashes off the left side for 4 yards, running behind big Chris Hinton. Brian Soche in the middle of the defensive line made the stop, and here are the Dolphins defensively. John Bosa makes his first start since last October when he injured a knee against San Diego. Soche, Cross with 7 sacks. Junior offered all. He starts for the first time. Krause and Green, talented linebacking core. Langford and Judson at the corners. And young Jarvis Williams and Louis Oliver, former Florida teammates, are the starting safeties. 2nd down 6 for Trudeau as he drops for the first time, has a man wide open, and hits the rookie Risen, and a first down at the 39-yard line. William Judson on the coverage, and Risen, who had 6 catches, his best game last week against the Patriots, picks off a first down on the first pass play of the day.
Well, Trudeau really really talks of getting more consistency. He knows that he's sort of an up and down type quarterback. He knows that he's had great days, obviously, but he feels those bad days. He feels them about every other week. So this particular game, he's going to have that consistency if these Colts are going to make the playoffs, even as a wild card.
Bentley. Oh, a nice piece of running, but a flag is down, and Bentley is finally brought down by the final wave of white tacklers, Jarvis Williams and Hugh Green, but I believe they're going to call it back. Dick Hantak, the referee today. You saw the talent of Bentley, even though they are going to take it back on penalty.
He made people miss, 2 or 3 people miss.
Ben Utt, number 64, the microphone with the referee not working today. We'll have to try to read the lips. Shortest name in the league, Ben Utt. 3 in the first name, Ben and Utt. Let's see, we had Jim Moore, and we had a Hall of Famer with 6 letters in the 2 names, Ron Mix. Ben Utt.
We've seen 2 runs already to the left side behind Chris Hinton and Randy Dixon. So you'll see a lot of action to the defensive right side.
Trudeau, a little delay to Bentley. Ad-libs his way and goes nowhere. Barry Krause, the former Colt, number 1 pick out of Alabama 10 years ago, now in the uniform of the Dolphins, made the stop.
Well, there is some improvement in that Dolphin front line, the front 8. There is some improvement. They've got the veteran linebackers. They've got a front 4 or front 3 that's an improvement, but once again, they're one of the poorest teams against the run that the NFL's had in really in many years.
In fact, last week against Buffalo, the Bills threw the ball only 9 times the entire game. They just ran it right at Miami, and the Dolphins couldn't stop them. Trudeau on 2nd and long. Goes underneath to Pat, beats the tight end, and they pick up 5, maybe 6. Offerdahl and Krause, linebackers, supported by Jarvis Williams. A 5-yard gain.
Well, prior to the game, Ron Meyer speaking to us about controlling the ball with a run, running to his left side, hammering away, wearing the Dolphins out. Now, so far, they've been willing to throw the ball and mix it up, but their plan was to run the ball 20 to 30 times in the first half in an attempt to wear down this Miami defense, which has been worn down before.
Rodney Thomas and Don McNeil come into the defensive secondary for Miami as they go with 6 backs. 3rd down, 14. Screen, and Bentley is hit immediately by Barry Krause. It didn't fool the former Colt Krause. Meanwhile, good pressure by Jeff Cross. Had Krause not held his ground, there was a lot of room to run, but he played it beautifully.
Well, Krause had man-to-man on that one back coming out of the back. He only sat there and just waited for him. He's watching him all the way, Out he comes. There's Krause. So it was a man-to-man defense, and there is nowhere to go with a middle screen against that kind of defense.
10 men on the line for Miami as Ron Stark back to punt. Scott Schwade's at the other end inside the 25 of Miami. Stark, a left footer, sends a dying spiral. Tough to handle those, but Schwade sure-handed. 25-30. Fumbles the ball, but it goes out of bounds back at the 33-yard line, and Miami retains possession. What a hit by Keith Taylor, the defensive back of the Colts. And we have our first timeout. Here's the offensive line for Miami. Dellenbach, Foster, Ulenek, Galbraith, and Mark Dennis returns. He was just activated this week, had knee surgery last November. Dan Marino, the great quarterback in his 7th year, already over 200 touchdown passes. Sammy Smith, the top draft pick out of Florida State. Ron Davenport with Clayton and Duper, the wideouts. Farrell Edmonds, those are the men that go out when they go to the wide receiver set. Jim Jensen comes in, as does Andre Brown, and Fred Banks at wide receiver. You know he'll be throwing, and he comes out pitching. Incomplete through the hands of Ron Davenport. Marino likes the fact that he's lost some weight. He's down under 220 pounds. Looks leaner, doesn't he?
Looks very good. He's about as good a shape as he's been in, and he's playing well. He's had some interceptions early.
There's a defensive line and linebackers for the Colts. Thompson, Armstrong, Hand, Banks, Herod, Young, and Bickett. Good and Daniel at the corners, and Ball and Pryor start at safety.
Well, Good and Daniel will be tested today. They'll play the equivalent of 3 or 4 games for their position.
And they're going to feel it in the second quarter and fourth quarter in this humidity and heat. Sammy Smith plows for a tough yard, maybe 2. Good defense. Bickett and Armstrong plugged the hole. Sammy Smith from Florida State was the 9th pick in the draft, but reported late, Bill, and he's just getting into shape.
Well, he's missed so much football. He's just played briefly now. He's not happy with himself, averaging 2.8 per carry. He's a big, active man, but he hasn't caught the ball well at all. Plus that, he just hasn't gotten any rhythm. They say he's practicing well, which I suppose is a good sign.
And not being a good receiver, he comes out as Marino on 3rd and 7 goes to 4 wide receivers.
Well, this is the guts of their offense. 4 wide receivers, Marino on a shotgun.
And there's his open man and another drop. Andre Brown, the rookie from Miami of Florida. So on the first series, Marino finds Davenport and Brown with loose hands.
Just need more concentration. Neither team, Dick, seemed that up for this game, to be honest with you. In watching the practice at Miami, they practiced very efficiently, very well organized, but not with great spirit as they practiced. Now, Indianapolis seems to be frustrated up and down the line. Any number of people unhappy with what's happened. And both of them have to shake that off if they're going to even be any kind of a factor in the playoffs.
High punting Reggie Roby from Miami, able to take a low snap and hit a end over end toward Clarence Verdun. Not much of a roll, and it's down at about the 29-yard line. Let's check other scores around the National Football League. 35-yard punt for Roby. Detroit has jumped in front of Houston 7-0. Green Bay has an early lead against the Bears. And Seattle scored on a 38-yard fumble return by former Colt Nesby Glasgow.
You know, Rick Roby's an interesting case. He's probably as fine a punter as the game has seen, but anything that's somewhat different that comes up in a game, he tends to lose his style in punting, his efficiency. That punt was a good example of it. Low snap, poor punt.
Albert Bentley twisting, but unable to get anything. John Offerdahl, twice a Pro Bowler out of Western Michigan, coached by Jack Harbaugh.
Well,
with the Broncos, and he is now in the starting lineup again.
Well, he's in the starting lineup. This will be his 3rd game. He played 3 quarters last week, 6 plays the week before that. Now, he is the moving force in the Miami defense. He hasn't been in not so much physical shape, but football shape. He indicates that he just needs to spend more time as the season progresses feeling blockers and seeing the ball. So far, he's just been one-dimensional, seeing the ball and getting blocked.
Trudeau on 2nd and 9. Good protection down the middle, incomplete to Rison. Covered by Rodney Thomas. I want to go back to that point about seeing the ball. Offerdahl looking for the ball to make the tackle, and you have to feel them in trying to block you. Is that what you're saying?
Well, they're a blocking combination stick that you know and understand. And so as a play develops, you have a good idea who's about to block you. In this case, he's playing man-to-man in this case and being pass protected on. He had a man to cover. He was sort of moving forward to cover him. But the blocking pattern, you have to recognize and meet the blocker with the proper shoulder and the proper arm, but see the ball. Don't lose track of that football. That's where he's having problems. That's why there are training camps to develop that 6th sense again.
3rd down and 9. Shotgun Trudeau. Underneath, intercepted. Yes, Jarvis Williams at the 25 and down to the 15. Kevin Call made the tackle. 1st down, Miami. His first interception of the year. Miami has not done well in picking him off. That's only the 6th for the team.
Well, Williams played in a alert position. You see him come up inside from a safety position. So sitting deep, he moved forward as Trudeau stepped to throw the ball, and Trudeau didn't account for him at all. And that's been Jack's problem as a quarterback. Ron Meyer, in visiting about it, said he's a little too mechanical, and he telegraphs his throws. Well, there was a good example.
21-yard return for Williams. Here comes Sammy Smith. Oh, he was running seriously. And has a 1st and goal for the Dolphins.
I'd say that was Sammy Smith's best run of the year. And there wasn't an awful lot to it, except when he hit the hole, he had great body lean, and he broke through people and fell forward for the extra 5 yards. This is what Don Shula expected from him, and let's hoping that this is an omen in a sense, because thus far he hasn't gotten it until really this play. He's going to get more chances.
226-pounder from Florida State. Marino makes sure he's back there. And he gets the call, and Smith is at the goal line. Touchdown. Nope, wait a minute. I thought I saw the linesman on the near side raise his hands. He got him halfway up and gave the safe sign and then dropped him back down. Not quite in, apparently.
It looked like from our position he was in, but I'm sure there'd be a replay if the officials thought he scored from upstairs. There's our handoff. He cuts back nicely. Good body lean coming into it. We lose track of him. But he slashed into that hole. These two runs give you the feeling that Sammy Smith may be for real. And it has been a real disappointment.
He dives, and he's not in again. So Smith slammed right at the goal line on back-to-back efforts. It'll be 3rd and goal. Michael Ball was the man who came up over the top from the secondary for the Colts. Only 3 rushing touchdowns for Miami all year, and one of those a sneak by Dan Marino.
They really need this just to develop some sense of confidence in their style of play. They had 2 good runs. Now, if they can just get it in even by inches here, at least they've established that they can rush for a touchdown.
Sometimes Marino, even this close in, will go to that tight end on a pass.
Now, he's had any number of quick little play passes from this position. Here it is.
And he cannot hit. Jim Jensen, his all-purpose back. Mike Pryor was on the coverage.
Well, that's an absolute lack of confidence in the running game. Now, this play is a typical sprint-out pattern with a little fake, pretty good protection. He wants to throw the ball, but the receiver gets bumped inside near that goal line. It happens often. But this is typical of Miami in recent years, where one time they've had great running. Now they'll leave the run at the slightest whim.
Well, the ball right there on the goal line, and now they have to settle for a disappointing 3. Stoyanovich, the rookie for Miami, knocks it through. That's 8 in a row, but the fans, listen to them. They didn't like that. They wanted Don Shula to go for the 7. Timeout. Halfway through the opening quarter.
He is brought to you by Budweiser, Beechwood aged for that clean, crisp taste. This Bud's for you. By Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately? And by GTE. At GTE, the power is on.
Little Sunday silence here in Miami. A quiet afternoon after the excitement of yesterday. A crowd probably bigger at Gulfstream Park, 53,000 plus, than are actually in attendance here at Joe Robbie today. Deep to return, 86 Pruitt and 83 Verdun, as Miami managing only a field goal out of the pass interception of Jarvis Williams. Stoyanovich hits it to Verdun. He's dangerous. Gets around the containment. And a good job by the kicker, Stoyanovich, who shows speed to run him out of bounds. Oh my.
Excellent angle, because he was certainly chasing a faster man, but he cut him off. Just cut him off at the pass, which is a great job. Now, Verdun has got this super speed. Is an explosive football player to the outside. Now, watch the angle here. And good job inside out, taking a man to the sideline and cutting off his speed.
That's the kind of denial on defense that Bobby Knight gives those Hoosiers in basketball. He's got a contract extension to the year 2,500. They made a good choice. That's Boyer in motion. Bentley running right. Good leg power, and he has about 10 out to the 41-yard line.
Well, that's a good example of Miami not meeting blockers physically along the line of scrimmage and getting knocked sideways, knocked out of there. They don't get rid of blockers very well defensively. Their defensive ends tend to be knocked back and twisted sideways, and their safeties haven't been supporting. So you combine those things, and people are getting extra 3 and 4 yards per rush.
But it wasn't always that way. It has been recently. How about back in the glory days of the 70s?
Well, Don's had great defenses. Don Shula is obviously to everyone one of the great coaches of all time, and he's had great defenses. But these people just don't play as physical as his teams of the past did.
Bentley able to vault for the first down to the 44. Offerdahl makes another tackle for Miami. The Bonacane teams defensively, they hit you.
Oh, just great, Dick. They intimidated people. You hated to come to Miami playing in that Orange Bowl, which, by the way, may have been more of a factor for the Dolphins than Joe Robbie Stadium. The Orange Bowl was intimidating. The crowd was closer, especially on one end. The noise, the din of the noise, and the entire atmosphere, the weather made it brutal to come down here and play. Well, times have changed. Times have really changed.
This is a bigger stadium farther from the field to stand, so there isn't quite the noise. Trudeau on first down. Throws underneath to Bill Brooks, and Brooks has about 10 to the Miami 47-yard line. Brooks, the leading receiver for Indianapolis, 27 catches coming in. Well, just to offer some underlining to that point that you've made, Bill Walsh, at the Orange Bowl, the Dolphins 120 wins, only 42 losses. And now, since coming to this beautiful, sparkling facility, Joe Robbie Stadium, they're just 10-9.
Well, we can't blame it on the stadium necessarily, but we can say that their drafts, the Dolphin drafts, have not been that good in recent years. Consequently, there aren't the number of top-flight players on that field often enough.
Second and short again for Trudeau, so it's Bentley. Good straight arm, but it doesn't work. What a tackle made by E.J. Jr., number 54. Offerdahl there to back him up, but it was Jr. who fought off the straight arm and dropped Bentley for a loss.
Jr. still has ability, that original ability. Now he's still effective, sort of a venerable football player in a sense, but he can make individual plays. I would worry about him a little later in the game. He may tire somewhat, but he has an excellent attitude toward it. He's overcome a lot of obstacles. I guess we can get to a little later.
And now third and a tougher call, 3rd and 2. Boyer in motion. Trudeau over the middle to Boyer, and he's got a first down and more to the 33-yard line. Barry Krause makes the tackle.
Boyer just released against a zone defense. Linebackers dropped, and he simply had to split the people up the field. You see linebackers working outside. He works right in between them. They don't identify him because he's coming in motion. They don't see it quickly enough.
Well, they don't throw to those tight ends or H-backs very often. That's only the 4th catch of the year for Boyer, and Pat Beach with one today has a total of 6.
Well, Meyer likes Boyer. He's a skillful player. He's got excellent skills in the blocking, a very determined player, and he's just a good, solid performer, again, against the zone.
Bentley, a good receiver, is inside the Dolphin 20, another first down. Offerdahl, who's been very busy, makes another tackle, assisted by Jarvis Williams. 15 more yards for the Colts.
Well, the Colts are just splitting the zones every time, and Miami has a history of playing a soft zone defense. What we're going to get is a little hesitation here, then a late release right between retreating people, and you'll see a big hole in the defense. Just a little late release by Bentley. Up he comes, no one there.
So trailing 3-0. 3 minutes left in the opening quarter. The Colts on their deepest drive. Bentley. There's a good solid hit by Jeff Cross, number 91, the defensive end from Missouri. With John Bosa injured, Cross took over that defensive right end spot, has 7 sacks to lead Miami. Now that Bosa has returned, he has moved from the right side to the left. They don't want to fool with Cross, who has been really a solid player, picked in the 9th round a year ago.
Well, talking with Chris Hinton before the game, he felt Cross was a critical pass rusher, not necessarily a great run defender. Chris expects to have a very good day against Cross. Got a blitz.
Throw is incomplete to Bentley.
That should have been a completed pass from the standpoint that Trudeau had to know there was a blitz. His man in motion brought a safety right along the line of scrimmage with him, indicating naturally that the safety leaves the middle, it's going to be a blitz.
Is it really always that a lock call?
I'd say, Dick, inside the 20-yard line, If those safeties are playing close to that line of scrimmage, and if you put a man in motion and they run right with him, you're going to get a blitz. And that's one of the indicators in the use of a man to motion.
The Colts have not had great success on third down. The throw is way off mark, not even close. Andre Rison was the intended receiver, and so the Colts drive stalls, and in comes Dean Biasucci to try the field goal. It'll be 36 or 37 yards. Biasucci, like his counterpart Stoyanovich, coming into the game, missing only 3 all year, 12 out of 15. And as you can see there, has missed only 3 times field goals under 45 yards. He's been solid. Former Western Carolina star.
Well, you can see the difference. Miami had the ball on the 1-foot line and had to kick a field goal. The Colts make a drive like this, and they can get the same kind of 3 points.
And Biasucci's aim is just good enough. It slides through the right side, and the game is tied at 3. 2 minutes, 19 seconds left. Stadium, speaking of scores, tied at Tampa Bay. Houston has come back to tie the Lions. Buffalo leading early. Jets with an early lead against New England. Bears get a field goal. Minnesota has scored first against the Rams, and Kansas City has tied Seattle. Here it's tied at 3 all on a Biasucci 36-yard field goal. Biasucci sends a high spinner. Willard Reeves at the 1. And he does not make it to the 20-yard line. Well, it's a big day here on NBC Sports. NFL doubleheader. We hope that you'll stay with us. Second half of our twin bill, the Cincinnati Bengals meet the Los Angeles Raiders, who have really become revitalized under the head coaching change. Art Shell now running the show, or is it Al Davis that's coaching that team?
Well, I'm sure Al Davis has a lot to do with weekly game plans, the use of personnel, and the organization from a standpoint of putting things together. But Art Shell also is a symbol of what the Raiders have stood for so long. So they have really come alive. Also, a lot of their players are now...
Here's the reverse going to Mark Clayton, who reverses again. Well, that one was drawn up in the huddle. Clayton, trying to get out of trouble, loses a couple.
Well, that reverse hit so late, so slowly, and Mark was so deep that he had nowhere to go but double back. The reverse hit very, very slowly, and he was cut off before he even got the ball. But speaking of those Raiders, Dick, everyone's talking about them, but remind ourselves that Howie Long has returned. Robinson as a linebacker's returned. So the Raiders are now going to be a force in that division and in the AFC.
There's a Steve Berline, who had replaced Jay Schrader, injured himself last week, so Schrader back at the start today against Cincinnati. That'll be a good test. Jensen moves Smith, and there seemed to be a bit of confusion on this one. They send Smith into the pattern. The throw to the sidelines incomplete. Dan Marino, the godfather of Dan Jr., his son, is Don Strock, the former backup quarterback here, now in the blue and white of Indianapolis. And when Strock was released last year, many felt that Marino's game suffered, that Strock was his mentor. He'd come to the sideline. Strock would always help him through, and they're very close friends, are they not?
Well, they certainly are. Strock has become one of the real able people technically in football, and strategy and play calling, and visiting with him just before the game. He's here now to help Indianapolis the same way that he helped Marino. So they became fast friends. The great talent and the very bright person.
That ball in and out of the hands of Freddie Banks and almost intercepted by Eugene Daniel. Well, they're going to call that a catch, apparently, but it will not be enough for a first down. Reggie Roby comes in to punt.
Well, Strock really helped the Dolphins. There isn't any question about it, not only when he was asked to play, but working with Marino. Again, his knowledge of that offense became very, very important, and many felt that his knowledge conveyed to Marino could have been the difference.
In fact, he said he's going to stay here for the off day and play a little golf with Marino tomorrow.
I asked him if he wanted to finally be a coach. He looked at me with a very strange look. He says, with all the problems in football today, how could I do that?
Yeah, but they're paid so well compared to players. Roby onto the field, now comes off.
Reggie's popular guy here in town. Again, in visiting with him, he is concerned about his performances in different kind of situations, not just pure punting, but a bad snap, kicking to the sideline late, backed up. In those kind of situations, he hasn't performed as a truly great performer as he would normally be in the middle of the field. So there's some, not dissatisfaction, but some frustration, because he should be one of the great punters of all time.
Well, he really has a thunderously high trajectory when he nails it.
Now, you'll note, Dick, when he punts, he keeps his left foot on the ground. Most punters allow that left foot to leave. He thinks he can get more flex in his leg and more power in it. He stays on the ground. Notice?
Beautiful spiral to Clarence Verdun, all the way to the 15. 20. 30. Actually outkicked his coverage a bit and out of bounds at the 33-yard line. So with this game tied at 3, the Colts have it again in the final seconds of the opening period. Hugh Green, the veteran linebacker from the University of Pittsburgh. He's had a good start to the season, 5 sacks. Great player in college, and in fact, one of those rare times that he was in the battle for the Heisman, remember? George Rogers won it that year, and Hugh Green finished second. Then came here from Tampa Bay. Restaurateur, owns 8 Italian restaurants.
Knee problem, a very severe one. He's come out of it the last 2 years. An erosion of his talent, but still a real pro, knowing the game of football, but some erosion of talent.
Tied at 3, it's Albert Bentley. Head down to the 39-yard line. Krause and Offerdahl collaborate after a 6-yard pickup.
Again, Miami ends up tackling people from the side and ball carriers carrying them forward. You'll see it all day, unfortunately, and this has been their problem. They're just not getting to the ball, and they're not meeting blockers physically enough.
And that's the end of the opening quarter here at Joe Robbie Stadium. The Colts and the Dolphins trade field goals. Game despite a single first down. Of course, the Jarvis Williams interception and return to the 14 of the Colts set up their field goal. Not much offense for Miami, 24 yards. The Colts have moved it well, but managed only a field goal themselves as we go to the second period. Jack Trudeau on 2nd and 4. He has 5 completions to 5 different receivers. It's Bentley. And
again, Bentley behind Chris Hinton. Chris Hinton took his man back 5 yards, and Bentley just followed him into the hole.
Number 75, the left tackle, Hinton.
Hinton will be pushing his man well off the line, still driving his man back, and Hinton just comes right in behind the block, falls forward into the thing, and he gets 5 yards before anybody touches him.
Big Cubs and Bulls fan, Hinton, who grew up in the Chicago area.
He's just a superb, dominating football player.
Yeah, 5 times the Pro Bowl. First down, Colts. Trudeau, short gainer to the tight end. E.J. Jr. wraps up Mark Boyer.
These pass patterns are designed against a zone. You can see the receiver driving up the field, stopping at 5 to 8 yards, trying to time the throw with Trudeau. Meanwhile, the Dolphin defenders are still retreating, so you can get the 5 to 6 yards consistently. But on the other hand, you're not going to get any run after the catch. These are simply little ball control passes.
Andre Rison to the left, Billy Brooks to the right. Boyer, the H-back. Bentley, ooh, good little move. That was an Eric Dickerson skip step and a first down at the 39-yard line for Bentley. 12 more for the former University of Miami star.
The play designed to go to the right, but you'll see again Hinton blocking his man off, turning his man, and Bentley just felt that and just turned right back in behind again. Dixon and Hinton blocking on that left side.
And Bill, we also saw the power of the tackle of that big rookie safety, Louis Oliver, at 226 pounds, built like David Fulcher of Cincinnati.
Well, he's had a mixed start as a professional. He'll most likely make Rookie of the Year, or at least all-rookie team, but still he's just a little slow in reading things.
To the sidelines and broken up nicely. Brooks, the intended receiver. Paul Langford able to move quickly to the ball and get a hand on it.
Jack Trudeau tends to telegraph his throws. He did it here. Meanwhile, the defender sees him stepping to throw and gets a big jump on it. So the defensive backs can see Jack telegraphing that throw.
In other words, he's not looking off
no, and
the defenders?
He's a little too mechanical, and Meyer was indicating is a little frustrated with that. But Trudeau is capable of making the big play downfield where that telegraphing isn't nearly as important.
Looking at 6 defensive backs in this set, and down he goes. The first sack of the game. It was Offerdahl and Cross that got through. There's Jeff Cross from Missouri, and Offerdahl, the middle linebacker, on a blitz.
Well, Cross has had his sacks this year. He's been a big difference in their pass rush. It's gotten 27 sacks thus far this year, and Hinton didn't concentrate. We've just been talking about how Chris Hinton is such a great football player. That time he didn't move his feet, and Cross beat him underneath.
I don't know how they share those sacks, but that would appear to be a half and a half for Cross and Offerdahl. And now 3rd down and 17, make it 18. Caught by Bentley in a crowd, and he's close to a first down at the 30. He'll be a yard and a half short, but he brings the Colts into field goal range with a stab between 2 Miami players.
In talking with John Offerdahl, a linebacker from Miami, he talks about Bentley. He believes Bentley has more dimension to him than Eric Dickerson does. He's a fine receiver, an excellent blocker. He plays H-back when Dickerson's playing. And, of course, he's a fine runner. He can make people miss. So that was a special play on his part.
It'll be a 47 or 40. It appears to be 48 yards where Stark is setting up to give the Colts the lead, thanks to a Bentley catch that brought Indianapolis close enough for Biasucci's try. He's got the distance. It is no good. Wide to the right. So with 11 minutes and 18 seconds remaining in this opening half here in Southern Florida, it remains the Colts 3, Miami 3. Missing the long field goal, Sammy Smith on first down picks up a couple of yards. Don Shula, great coach of the Dolphins, a second winningest coach in National Football League history, and he has very definite eyes on the all-time mark of George Halas, and it figures that Shula, who started at a young age as the head man at Baltimore when the Colts were there, is going to beat Halas's 325.
Well, he's not saying much about it, but I'm sure he has that in mind. Don expects to coach for a number of years. He's not looking to do anything else.
Smith again, and he's out to the 38 or 39 yard line. Just a look at the all-time wins by coaches. Of course, Tom Landry was in 3rd place before retiring. 325, the great head man up in Chicago. And then Shula 281, then Landry 270, Lambeau and Chuck Noll. By the way, the Dallas Cowboys, every win in the history of their franchise, the head coach was Tom Landry.
Right, that's right. Well, Shula, 5 more years at, let's just say, 10 wins a year, will break it. He may have to go 6 or 7 years, but he should be able to break that record.
Boy, what a throw. Now, that was the quick trigger release of Dan Marino. It appeared that he almost threw that ball right off his number 13. Barely took the ball back in his arm, Rock, and then fired the bullet for a first down.
Really a remarkable player. If you spoke of a quarterback using the word explosive, it wouldn't make sense, but in this case it does. That arm is explosive. As it shoots forward, the delivery is so quick and the ball is so sharply thrown, the word is explosive for this man. Really remarkable. I haven't seen anything like that particular gift since I've been in football.
He's looking for a couple of touchdowns that would move him up to a tie and number 11 all-time in NFL touchdown passes, and almost has an interception there. It was trapped by Chris Good. Didn't quite get his hands underneath the ball for the interception, although he argues that he did. The pass intended for Duper. I think Marino was throwing it away and almost found Good stealing it.
You know, at this point, neither team looks sharp, Dick. Neither team is playing well. And one or the other is going to get a break, or something's going to happen that'll make the difference. But right now, both teams are flat, struggling off very frustrating losses last week. Neither team appears to have recovered well enough to play their kind of football in this game, and of course, it's a critical game.
Marino 2 for 7 passing, only 18 yards. Here comes a blitz, picked up nicely, and wide open is Jensen, and a first down at the Dolphin, or make that the Colt 41-yard line. Jim Jensen, old Crash from Boston University. You had him in a bowl game when he was a collegian as a quarterback.
He was our second quarterback behind Neil Lomax. But here's his pattern right from this wingback spot. He'll just break out. He's big and strong. He works extremely well against linebackers. He has that size and all that experience. Not a lot of speed. You see the break, he just completely loses his man, catches the ball, then falls forward. But he was a good quarterback from Boston. But we had Neil Lomax in the Senior Bowl. He didn't play a down.
Sammy Smith twisting for an extra yard or two, and the crowd appreciates that. A gain of nearly 7. Jensen at practice the other day, I understand, said you either ruined his career or you helped his career by not playing him.
Well, in a sense, I think we helped it. I think the more exposure he had at quarterback, the less his chances would have been. He naturally doesn't have a Marino-type arm, but what a guy. He's a bright guy, a resourceful person, and become a real pro.
Draw play, Smith running into his own man, and then Dwayne Bickett wrapped him up close to a first down. He'll be shy about a yard. Smith, who was hampered by an ankle injury, is finally feeling 100% as you look at the scores. No changes there. Nor there. Rams now lead Minnesota 7-6, and Kansas City has scored a couple of touchdowns to overcome the early fumble recovery touchdown by Seattle. Third down, a short 2.
2 tight ends. Now Jensen is the flanker close to the tight end.
Smith, good hole, and he shows second effort again and a first down. Now the crowd appreciates the way Smith is running.
Well, this is his first real successful game thus far as far as running and getting some room to maneuver. He's running with good power. He's making good judgments, and I'm sure that Don Shula can see some hope right at this moment.
Well, as Bill pointed out, no Dolphin has rushed for as many as 60 yards all season, and Smith about to send it beyond that mark the way he's going. 35 yards already in the first half. First down, 3 all tie, 6.5 minutes left in the second quarter. Marino underneath to Jensen. He's hit immediately at the 25-yard line, no fumble.
Jensen has this little quick mincy steps that he takes for a big man, and he can really change direction and maneuver in very small spaces. It's a big, rangy guy, excellent against linebackers. You can see that coming all the way. The same play he'd done earlier. So Jensen will be, I suppose, the rest of his career catching those short passes on third down. And by the way, Miami has an excellent third down combination of conversions.
50%.
Yeah, 50%.
Yeah, they said he didn't have the ball long enough. Incomplete the pass. 2nd and 10. Smith on a draw. And a flag goes down. As the Colts have learned, they're going to have to bring several blue shirts and put some helmets on Smith. One man isn't going to bring him down. John Baylor came up to support Sam Clancy on that tackle.
Smith's big, powerful, but you don't see the quickness there, Dick. You just don't see explosive quickness. You see a big, smooth, powerful athlete.
Oh, face mask. So the running of Smith, determined and tough, and creates the penalty, and that'll probably give Miami the first down.
Just a draw coming across the formation. The blocking isn't getting it done because they're blocking too high. They've got to get underneath people, and they're coming up and sort of stopping in the way. And that's one of the problems that has developed with the Miami offense. The blockers aren't cutting people down. They're blocking in sort of a position style.
You saw number 76, Sam Clancy, briefly had his hands on the helmet face mask of Smith. So it's 2nd and inches. And Smith barrels off the right side for a first down inside the 15-yard line. John Hand made the tackle.
Well, that was an excellent job. Mark Dennis, coming back playing his first game, did an excellent job there, a good job. And Galbraith, both the right guard and right tackle, pushed their men off the line of scrimmage. Smith hit that thing with power.
They say his knee down right at the 15-yard line. 5.5 minutes show. First half here in Southern Florida. Miami trying to break a 3 all-time. Marino has his team with a first down at the 15 using the fullback Smith, and he gives it to him again. Gets a couple of yards. 54, Jeff Herod from Mississippi. Well, what a game he had last week against New England. 19 tackles. He's the #1 tackler. Herod, 54. And he likes it when people say, gee, you're built just like Mike Singletary, 6 feet tall, 246. He says, I sure like to play like Singletary.
Well, he plays well enough. He's certainly an adequate professional. He's got ability. Between Herod and Young inside, 2 fine linebackers. Outside, Banks and Bickett, excellent football players. That's why Ron Myers is frustrated, because they should have a better record. They are physically a real contender.
Marino looking for 6. Clayton, touchdown! The Dolphins take the lead as Clayton has his 5th touchdown reception of the year, and Dan Marino, that gives him career-wise number 208, 1 less than Jim Hart, the former Cardinal great, number 11 all time.
Well, that was as tough a completion as you can make. He had double coverage on him, and he split 2 people. It was an excellent throw.
Take a look at it right after this excellent point try by Stojanovic. It's 10-3 Miami. Good patience by Marino on that touchdown throw.
Well, we can't see the receivers, but we see Marino moving, waiting, then drilling the ball.
And right over the top of 2 Colts for the score. 10-3 Miami.
Else is just alike.
Mark Clayton, the favorite target of Dan Marino. They hook up on a 13-yard touchdown play, and it's 10-3 Dolphins as Stojanovic ready to kick it off. Erdan and Pruitt are deep for the Colts. High to Pruitt, a former Dolphin. And the wide receiver of the Colts hurdles out to the 27, and a flag goes down. So Marino using Smith a lot. 30 yards of that drive consumed on runs by Sammy Smith, and then he hits Clayton perfectly for the 13-yard touchdown, and we have a Dolphin down on the play. Can't quite see his number obscured from this angle. It appears to be number 34, Nu'ufaola, former New York Jet. Plus holding against the Colts. They'll begin at the 15-yard line. Let's go back to the touchdown play from a high angle.
As I mentioned, it was one of the toughest throws. You're going to have rotation this way, but Clayton's going to go up underneath it, then break to the corner with everybody retreating. The throw with Marino moving over was about as tough a pass as you'll see any time. It took an arm like Marino's. You see he's waiting. Now he splits both defenders down the field with a beautiful shot.
Boy, when they talk about a perfect strike, he had about a 2-square-yard hole to throw it through, and he nailed it right there.
Well, you saw he had to wait to see exactly where to put that ball.
Paola is okay, and we're ready to go here at Joe Robbie with 4:24 remaining in the opening half. The Colts trail 10-3.
Paola, by the way, is one of the best special teams players in the league, and Don Shula really likes his blocking as a pass protector for Dan Marino.
Trudeau brings him out of the huddle. Albert Bentley for Eric Dickerson has been busy and has been productive thus far, but Trudeau has not. Passes on first down. Little soft toss to the tight end, Pat Beach, for 5. Barry Krause on the coverage.
Well, the Colts have left their game plan. As we visited with them, they were going to run left with Bentley.
Eric Dickerson could play in an emergency, the hamstring injury, but the Colts want to try to give him a full week's rest and let that disturbing injury that has been really with Dickerson most of the year heal. And in Albert Bentley, they have a solid player. He'd be a starter and perhaps a star in this league if he had a chance to play the full 16. Tried to twist away, but John Offerdahl and Jeff Cross were there.
Well, thus far, Miami has shifted their defense. If you'll note, as we go along, they shift their defensive linemen late, and they're giving a look that Indianapolis has not seen. That's why I think Indianapolis has gone to those short passes, and they're still looking for the right blocking combinations for just the shifting of the 3 defensive linemen. So an excellent game plan defensively by Don Shula's staff.
Trudeau kicks it out of the end zone. That'll be a safety for Miami. And the Dolphins lead 12-3 and will get the ball on the free kick.
Well, Ray Donaldson's snap was too high. He had a man on his nose. I'm sure he wanted to pass protect against him, but look at that snap, completely over Trudeau's head.
Trudeau actually had time, as did Bentley, to pick it up, but they didn't know how close Miami's defenders were. Actually, you see how late Miami was getting to the ball. They were 15 yards behind, but there was no way for either of the Colts to know that. And it's Miami getting too wet that it just squirted out of there and high over Trudeau's head for the safety.
Well, the ball wouldn't have been wet, Dick, because they make sure it's dry each time. Now, his hand might have had a lot of perspiration on it, but playoff teams don't allow this to happen. It just doesn't happen. You don't snap the ball over somebody's head. When we watch these teams, I'm saying again, neither one looked ready to play this game. And Indianapolis is going to have to come alive or their season's going to end today.
Starks high free kick goes to Scott Schwades, who is tackled at the 34-yard line. Good coverage by McDonald. Here's some of the headlines from NFL Live today. Prior to our game, Jets president Steve Gutman said he hopes Tony Eason will report to the Jets on Monday or Tuesday. Riggins, a former Redskin great, lack of quality quarterback. Not a very good football team, says the former Washington Star. And Bobby Beathard heard from sources in the Buffalo Bills organization that given the choice, they'd rather have Shane Conlon back than Jim Kelly. They're both expected to play these Colts next week. And coming up at halftime, Bob Costas and O.J. Simpson will have all the scores and highlights. And Sports Illustrated writer Rick Riley commenting on his recent article on John Elway. So stay with us at halftime. Leading 12-3, Sammy Smith feeling his way, and just nothing developed for him. Dwayne Bickett led the charge of the Colts tacklers for a loss of a couple.
Well, that's not going to be Sammy Smith's long suit, running outside. He's not an explosive runner. He's more of a smooth, strong inside runner, so those sweeps aren't going to be his cup of tea, and I think Don Shula just had to show one from that formation.
Dwayne Bickett is not getting up for Indianapolis, their Pro Bowler. One of their top players. Holding that knee. Bickett, we talked to earlier in the season, he says I'm not superstitious, but he does have a strict ritual.
Well, here he'll be pursuing down the line of scrimmage and getting caught up in the tackle. He's excellent getting to plays from the backside, so you see him pursuing down that line of scrimmage. You see everything seems to be fine at this point. Now contact's going to be made there. It could be that he twisted his knee really without any contact, but just enough inertia on that knee and the twist of the torque could have done some damage.
Now we have a chance to look at the other scores. Cleveland now. Kozar's thrown a couple of touchdowns, and Felix Wright an interception touchdown, and Thane Gash has an interception touchdown. Consecutive against Testaverde. Jets now trying to surprise New England. who surprised the Colts last week. And Kansas City has a 10-point lead now against Seattle. And Minnesota, 3 field goals, are 2 points better than the Rams late in the first half. Here it's 12-3. Marino with 1 touchdown pass, guns down the middle, incomplete. Clayton was the closest white jersey, well covered by Chris Good.
Excellent pass protection.
2:04 remaining in the half, so one more play before the 2-minute timeout. Dan Marino, Dan Constantine Marino, and Joe Costanza looking through some old real dusty books on the Colts. He came up with an all-timer. John Unitas's middle name was also Constantine. Here are 2 of the great quarterbacks of all time.
Well, now we know what to uncover. If we just look close enough in the scouting reports,
right,
we've got to get middle names.
Joe Constantine Costanza got that one for us. 2:04 left in the half. Marino, ball seemed to be deflected at the line of scrimmage. And now the 2-minute timeout.
Well, he threw a very good pass for the touchdown, but otherwise he hasn't been on the mark today as usual.
1:59 remaining in the opening half. Miami in the lead.
There is a point at which all things must evolve. For small cars, that point is here. Introducing the Mazda Protege, a small car that's expansive in room, powerful, and born of
NBC Sports same-day coverage, Toyota Classic from Richmond Heights, Missouri. The nation's top rollers competing for $150,000. Join Jay Randolph and Earl Anthony for all the action. And also next Saturday, NBC presents the final round coverage of the Isuzu Kapalua International from beautiful Hawaii. Golf's greatest players shooting for $650,000. So bowling and golf next Saturday on NBC. Reggie Roby to punt. And with 1:59 left in the half, the Colts will have a chance to strike back from a 12-3 deficit.
Watch how Reggie Roby keeps his left foot on the ground. He doesn't fly off the ground. He keeps it there for leverage. He thinks that's the difference.
Colts going after this one. Oh, they come so close, and they run into the kicker. Ball is down inside the 30, but the Colts are going to get a first down as Chris Good, I don't know how he missed the ball. He was right in Roby's face and didn't block the kick, but hit Roby, and the penalty ensues.
You'll see a pass rush from the outside that will get there, or excuse me, a punt rush from the outside that gets there, but Roby sort of mishandles the ball initially, but that's clearly an infraction. Clearly. He did hit him in the process of kicking, and it was a solid enough hit to call.
Roughing the kicker, automatic first down on the personal foul, and it's a big one, a 15-yard penalty that takes it out to the 47. So the Colts would have had the ball with all their timeouts and just under 2 minutes to go. Instead, Good, so close, and of course that's when it happens. He thought he had the block and certainly was in position. Somehow Roby got the ball through him cleanly, and then Good running into Roby. Had he touched the ball at all, then the contact against the punter wouldn't have mattered.
And that's a pretty subjective call by the official, too, as to the extent of it. They don't have to call those kind of things.
12-3. Miami leads, and the Dolphins going for more. Jensen, first down to the 40 of the Colts. Bickett back in the game, made the tackle.
Well, Jensen's big and strong, and the linebackers apparently, I think we've got holding, but the linebackers are apparently hesitant to hit him like they would a running back. So he just has free access up the field to break out and catch the ball over and over.
They're bringing this one back, however. You saw the disappointment expressed by Jensen. Harry Galbraith, the right guard, number 62, guilty of the hold. Jensen is such an interesting story. Here's a man who broke one of the storied stars in Boston University history, Harry Aganis's passing marks. He was 17-3 as a quarterback in college. He comes to the Dolphins as a backup quarterback, isn't good enough there, but he's so versatile. He's played every position but offensive line. He can run, he can throw, obviously can catch, and now he's built himself up 224 pounds. He's not a bad blocker. Marino, and broken up at the last moment by Mike Pryor, who darted in front of Mark Clayton, as Pryor really racing from deep back in the secondary to make the play.
Well, Jensen is one of those few people. He's thrown for a touchdown. He's recovered a fumble for a touchdown. He's caught a pass for a touchdown. And it's interesting what you need to play the game physically. Jensen's feet are too slow to play quarterback, but they're fast enough to play the receiver as he plays receiver, which is very short, mechanical kind of patterns, using his body size to get himself open.
That's an interesting comment. His feet are too slow to be a quarterback, but fast enough to be a wide receiver. Marino on second down to Jensen, using his blockers so well. Look at that, to the 46-yard line, close to a first down.
He's an easy kind of a guy, sort of a sagey guy, and he's got a personality that just grows on you. He's a very attractive person from that standpoint. I think he's excellent for this team. Now just look at his decision making here. And he knows what to do with the ball. Did you notice him put two hands on that ball when he got into traffic?
Miami uses a timeout. They're just shy of the first down. Jensen with 28 catches this year, 9+ yard average and 3 touchdowns. And that nickname Crash tells it all as Don Shula studies the situation about his personality. He'll do anything, and has, to win a game and to keep the spirits on the club alive.
Just got one of those anticipation kind of performances. He's always accounting for everything around him when he plays the game.
Well, Bill, last year when NBC Sports was here, when the introduction of the starting lineups, Jensen tipped us off. He went out and gave an engagement ring to one of the Miami cheerleaders, and he had married now his wife Naria this past June, so he even had a national engagement party. 3rd down and 3. 1:19 left in the half. Marino had his buddy Jensen at his side. Incomplete, and almost back to number 38, Eugene Daniel, for the ricochet interception. Mark Clayton the target. That stops the clock. 1:15. Some hesitation before they send the punting team on. The fans with a 12-3 lead want Shula to gamble, but that would seem totally unwise. You have a lead. Why flirt with giving the Colts field position and a chance at an easy score?
Sure, just one completed pass of being 3 points. But again, the Dolphins are reminding us they're a one-dimensional football team. 3rd and 3, there isn't any chance they'll run the football. It's going to be the shotgun. It's going to be a pick kind of a play. They're very stereotyped. Above and beyond that, of course, they get the job done. They convert about 50% of those kind of things.
Soft spiral. Going to have good results. Look at that. So Indianapolis, on a 45-yard punt by Roby, will start at the 2-yard line. The Colts have all 3 timeouts left, 1:03 remaining in the half, but they're so deep in their own end. Well, we'll see how Ron Meyer plays it.
I'm sure it'll be very conservative from here, because I don't think he has that much faith in Trudeau, especially in these kind of situations. And there really isn't much to be gained. They can't go the length of the field in 1 minute like this, not with their style of football.
And why risk a possible interception or turnover? Risen to the right, Brooks to the left. Trudeau from his own end zone, and he brings it out to Bill Brooks, the wide receiver, to the 8-yard line. Langford makes the tackle. Brooks also from Boston University, Jim Jensen's alma mater.
Again, I'm not sure this strategy, because the percentages are so dramatically against you in this situation, and one tipped pass, one bad sack and fumble, anything could be a problem.
38 seconds. It goes to the tight end Beach. Boy, he's been busy. 3 catches in the first half, had only 5 in the first 8 games. They call time to stop the clock. 29 seconds remaining in the half.
Again, Dick, only bad things can happen to you from here. You just have too far to travel in too short a time. And again, one tip pass, one clean tackle, forcing a fumble, and Miami has 3 points.
Well, with 29 seconds to go now, just play the way a fan thinks. Would it hurt you that much to just rear back and try to hit a long bomb, maybe 50 yards? Even if they intercepted, you hope you tackle Marino. There'd only be a few seconds left. He couldn't do too much to hurt you.
Well, that's one thing you would try, is try to go down the field deep and then make sure that you cover it if it's intercepted. But to throw the short, very, very short kind of ball control passes here, there's always the chance it'll be tipped or jarred loose.
Ball at the 14-yard line, first down. 2 timeouts left for the Colts. Trudeau now 10 for 16, 99 yards, 1 interception. Looking at a very loose Miami zone defense. He throws. Is it caught? What a catch. What a catch by Brooks, but the clock continues to run, and then the Colts quickly use a timeout. Boy, he was juggling that ball all the way, and finally as he rolled over, cradled it awkwardly against his body for the catch.
Well, everybody's been doubling Brooks all year. That's why Risen last week caught for 125 yards. Brooks is really their key man related to pass offense. He's a feared football player, and he's almost a faultless receiver. He does everything very well.
Fans on the replay thought it was not a catch, but he was able to get his body turned so that he was sliding out of bounds on his back. And nice piece of pass receiving prestidigitation by Bill Brooks.
Frank, prestidigitation? What's his first name?
Magic.
Oh,
Magic. Well, that was the middle name, Constantine. You're back to that.
Constantine, right. I don't know why I didn't figure that out when I was coaching.
Ball at the 25-yard line. It is a first down. 20 seconds left. Now do you go deep?
Well, you're going to have to go down the field. You're going to have to get at least a 50-yard play somewhere in the next 20 seconds.
Overshoots Bentley, who was wide open in the flat. He could have gotten another 15. Jeff Cross applying pressure on Trudeau. He seems, Trudeau, much more tentative than when we saw him against the Bills in that big win at the Hoosier Dome a few weeks ago.
Well, there's a lot of truth to that. He had a great day on that occasion. Ron Meyer indicated before that game, the Bill game, that if they win it, it would be Trudeau, and it certainly was. He had a great contest. And Ron Meyer just this week was indicating that he's getting more patient, and he's not responding so much when things don't go well. He's not overreacting, but still, he's very mechanical.
Still 15 seconds left in the half. Trudeau looking for the big one, goes down the middle and misses everything. Boy, Bill Brooks looks back in amazement and just say, where in the world, where were you throwing that one?
Well, that pass was thrown so high, anybody could have caught it. Anyone. And that was what we've been talking about. Doesn't look that polished in offense at this point.
And Indianapolis, true to their performance in the first 8 games of this year, having trouble on third downs, and Ron Meyer's club faces another. They're 1 for 6 today. 6th from the bottom in the league in converting third downs, while Miami is tied for the lead with Green Bay 50%. A little draw to Bentley. This will help his rushing yards by 5 as he gets to the 30 at the end of the first half.
The biggest half in Indianapolis' season right here. They're going to have to adjust and begin to play football.
Don Shula's team saying, wait a minute, don't go yet. There's no time showing on the clock, but the referee, Dick Hantak, is saying, come back. Maybe there was a penalty, or did the Dolphins call time?
I don't think they could have called time quickly enough, and I don't see a flag.
Yeah, they've called the Dolphins out on the field, and we understand now from down below that the timeout was called by Shula with 1 second to go.
Well, I'll get a chance at a punt return.
Put 2 seconds back on the game clock. Thank you.
Beg your pardon. 2 seconds to go. He called timeout.
Their third timeout.
Brings up a 4th down. And Shula trying to give himself another chance at it now. And, of course, with just 2 seconds to go, Ron Meyer doesn't have to punt it. He can just go into shotgun formation, snap the ball, and kill the 2 seconds. But
I'd assume they'll try to block the punt.
but he doesn't have to punt. And Trudeau stays in.
So they'll just use the 2 seconds. This is the kind of part of the game that can get you in trouble, not this 2 second situation, but by trying to drive out from your own 2 or 3 yard line with just a minute to go in the half. All kind of things can go wrong, and often they can blow up in your face.
Now, had this happened immediately and not a lot of time to think about it, Shula might have pulled this off. Now, Trudeau, last play of the half, he'll just go for the bomb, and it's batted away incomplete. To 3 points, and then they got the gift safety for 2 more. And Marino, who did not have a good first half, Bill Walsh made 1 all-pro throw for a touchdown.
Well, it was an all-pro throw, but he threw into double coverage, something he normally wouldn't do. He waited a while to do it. It showed his great arm, but he's not having a good day thus far. In fact, probably one of the poorest days I've seen him have. It's going to have to be up to Indianapolis to get this thing pulled out, because they're not playing a real strong opponent in Miami, and they came to this season thinking they could go all the way to the Super Bowl.
In the meantime, Don Shula's Dolphins, whose season as it goes from here is not many tough tests. Most of the teams are playing have losing records. So Don Shula says, hey, we might steal ourselves a wild card spot.
Well, he's a great football coach. He knows how to handle the tough, wearing part of the season. He's done it before. If anybody can bring a team through, it's Don Shula.
And Dan Marino, of course, with that arm of his, capable of beating any defense. Dolphins get the ball first to open the second half. And Biasucci drives it deep into the end zone. Reeves will take the touchback, and Miami opens at the 20-yard line. Reviewing the scoring of the first half, Jarvis Williams, after an interception and return to the Colts 14. Stojanovic hit an 18-yard field goal when Miami could not punch it in twice from the 1-yard line. Then Biasucci answered for the Colts with a 36-yard field goal to tie it at 3. In the second quarter, Biasucci missed from 48. Then Marino capped a 70-yard drive with a perfect 13-yard bullet to Mark Clayton for a score 10-3. And then center Ray Donaldson's high snap over Trudeau's head went through the end zone, and a safety for Miami. 12-3 at the half. Marino underneath. Big tight end Farrell Edmonds has his first catch of the game and his 20th of the year. 6 yards in the play.
Everybody's waiting for Farrell Edmonds to come alive. He's a great athlete. He has outstanding speed for his size. He's somewhat inconsistent. With that great talent, he's going to have to come alive. Don Shula feels he just has to demonstrate more instincts, but they have to start throwing him the ball to develop those instincts. So here's a talent that's not being utilized at its best thus far in his career.
What are they doing here? The officials are in that huddle, and has he got too much stickum on his hands, or? Yeah, looking for the Lester Hayes rule there.
Well, in this kind of weather, this humidity, that's when you'd use it. But it's become, a few years ago, illegal.
2nd down and 4. Edmonds, Kellen Winslow style. That was his idol. He wears his number. 6'6" and 252. Quick hitter by Sammy Smith. Look at him drag the tackler to the 44-yard line.
Well, that can be the difference. Sammy Smith having his best game as a professional. That's his best single play that we're looking at. He breaks off the block on the linebacker. He spins and moves. Good instincts, great athletic ability. He's a fine inside runner, at least today. But averaging 2.8 until today, this may be a breakthrough for Sammy, but also the Dolphins. They can get another dimension to their football.
61 yards, most by any running back for Miami all year. Quickie. And another first down as Fred Banks takes it to the Colts 44.
What a delivery by Marino. That thing just shoots off his arm. It's just explosive. And it gets there before even the receiver can adjust, but certainly the defensive back has no chance the way he drills that ball in there.
Well, he was an infielder and was drafted by the Royals, and he has an infielder's arm, that real quick, get the ball in and out of the glove and fire to first.
Sure does it.
Now the Dolphins leading 12-3, open with a couple of quick first downs, and they're in Indianapolis territory at the 44. The give this time is to Ron Davenport, and the veteran from Louisville staggers for about 8, maybe 9 yards before Jeff Farad can trip him up.
Davenport has been released and not claimed, and now has come back to the Dolphins. They've been through 4 running backs already this year, and so we're seeing Davenport, who sort of it has been the highlight of his career was some time ago, and we're seeing Smith, a raw rookie. It's all they have to work with, but they're taking apart a supposedly strong defense.
Davenport's first carry worth 9 yards. Smith back in and may have picked up the yard for the first down. It'll be close. John Hand, number 78, got there quickly, as did number 56, Fred Young.
Well, Hand is 6'7", 300 pounds. He's been a real factor, an imposing factor in this defense all year. That entire group, Armstrong, Thompson, Hand, they're going to have to come alive. They're going to have to start defeating the man in front of them.
3rd and 1 as Edmonds and Kinchin, a pair of tight ends, will bookend the line, and Jensen is the wing on the left. Give it to Smith. It'll be very close. It appears they've marked it inside the 34. That'd be a first down. Sammy Lee Smith, who enjoys bowling and fishing. Those bowling balls make great sinkers, I understand.
Well, Smith simply took a short yardage playoff tackle. Chip Banks, who's just joined the team, missed the tackle at that point. Then his power took him the distance. He's going to get excellent blocking up front, but we have a missed tackle by Chip Banks. He meets the tight end right there, didn't keep his head up. On the other hand, Banks has been playing very effectively since joining the team.
It is a first down for Miami. Well, the Colts now with a lot of Pro Bowl stars when you look at that linebacking core. Fred Young, Dwayne Bickett, Chip Banks.
Irad's been playing well. You can take individuals and you can see very, very solid plays, very solid efforts, but as a team, they have lacked the continuity. And this, as I've been saying, I guess I'm beating a dead horse in a sense, but they are going to have to come alive in the next 20 minutes.
Fred Banks on the sidelines gets 11 yards. He's the speediest, believe it or not, of all the Dolphin receivers. Faster than Duper, who was a class sprinter in college. This guy can run a 4.25. To Liberty College. That's where Sam Rutigliano is coaching now and doing very well, thank you.
I think he's undefeated. He's a fine coach. There'll be job openings, and I'm sure people are going to be looking at Sam Rutigliano if he'd be interested in rejoining the NFL.
Yeah, I understand there might be a job opening in New York with the Jets. Smith to the 18-yard line. Harad and Bickett there for the tackle. Had any phone calls lately from
no calls.
Eastern Time 212
no
zone?
calls. I'm waiting to have my epaulets torn off with NBC.
I don't think that's going to happen. 67 yards now for Smith. And he comes out, and the fans like what they've seen today.
And in goes Jim Jensen. We'll look for Jim Jensen in this situation. He's a wing back on the offensive right.
2nd and 6.
There's
There
Jensen.
he is. You called it, Coach. First down at the 11. Fred Young made the tackle. 9 more yards for Crash Jensen.
Sort of a stylish guy in his own sense. He's going to come up the field, work to the inside, a play fake going in the opposite direction, and there he is. He's Dick, he's broken up the field 5 and broken out about 7 or 8 times today. He's yet to be covered.
3 catches for Jensen to give him 31 for the year. And they can make a first down without a touchdown, barely. So they've got the full 10. Smith. Good effort by John Hand, who used his hand to grab Smith and then with that 300 pounds pull him down.
Showed real activity on that one. He's a solid pro. got that size and that range. He should be able to defeat an offensive tackle with that size and that height, because you get leverage extending into the tackle with that 6'7" height.
Remember his talking to us about love for another B at Bama, Paul Bear Bryant, who recruited him. He was in the last recruiting class, and how he admired the great coach Bryant at the University of Alabama. Deflected at the line of scrimmage, and he had a man open, Ron Davenport, but charging through was Chip Banks, number 51, to get a hand on it. And Banks slow getting up. Athletic move by him, and
well, Chip is over the tight end. He's going to blitz, and Dan Marino is going to want to throw the ball over the top, but Banks blocks the ball along the way. We've got what we call a hot receiver, which is going to be Davenport, the back, but Banks is a fine enough athlete to go up and get it. Looks like he strained his back. Now, he's had back problems early in his career.
And a timeout with 8:57 left in the third period. Shoulders, 3rd and 9 from the 10 for Marino. Jensen moves to his left. You saw Harrod move over. Apparently he has a man for man. Marino guns. Touchdown. Andre Brown.
Marino indicated before the game, visiting about the game plan, that the Colts are very predictable in the third down situations, or in these situations they go man-to-man underneath the two safeties, and that was a semi-pick play with Brown coming underneath and a drilled pass thrown in there.
Brown's first catch of the day, and it's his 3rd touchdown, a free agent pick out of Miami of Florida, overlooked by the other NFL teams with all the talent the Canes have possessed at that position. Stojanovic adds the extra point.
And any team at any time. And he's been in the shadow of Eric Dickerson and patiently and quietly waiting his shot.
You see the numbers for Bentley. 159 yards total receiving and rushing in the game. First down at the 11, 2 minutes to go. Trudeau to Brooks. Brooks gets out of bounds. That was a short gain of 3, but Brooks using his head as well as his legs and power to drag the tackler to the sidelines and stop the clock and save a timeout. Casual observer, no pads on. We're not going to see any emergency play from number 29, Eric Dickerson.
These are the times when the superstar can help you win it or come back, or the superstar can hurt you. As of a week ago, Eric was being very, very difficult about his team and his chances, and he said he's tired of carrying the load. He's tired of everybody asking him why the team doesn't win.
Not exactly up there cheering Bentley on, is he? Trudeau, plenty of time. Throws underneath to Risen. Risen can't get in. Makes a fine move. He does get in. I beg your pardon. Oh, my.
Well, that demonstrated he's a football player, and he's what they thought he would be. In the draft, they had him ranked as the 8th best player in the country. They got him in the 22nd pick. It looks like a great pick, and there's great instinctive, natural ability. Trudeau had a lot of time to decide, made a good decision, but watch this open field running, this balance and agility, and the instinct to know almost, those are the kind of things you learn as a youngster in a playground, just almost sensing where other people are.
That may be as fine a 7-yard touchdown pass as you'll ever see. What a run. That last one was a cut above. Andre Rison. Try for point by Biasucci, and a high snap, well handled by Stark, and that leaves the Indianapolis Colts within 6. And what a play, a big league play by Andre Rison. That was 1 against 5, and he gets the touchdown. Now, the Colts, with 1 minute and 42 seconds left, 2 timeouts remaining. What do you do here? You got onside kick it, or do you kick it deep and try to use the timeouts and hope you can hold them?
Well, you're right at the borderline with just 2 timeouts. You're going to get the ball just with seconds left. Now, you see, up the field, he's just waiting right here. Now, when he catches the ball, you know he's using the telestrator, couldn't keep up with him. There's one, he spins off, comes inside. He's making good players miss him. And then this effort to lean over the top.
Can you reverse that in the tape? Can you just take that run and reverse it back, and we watch it go backward? Let's just see what had John Fratsis. John Gonzalez. Let's see this little magic.
Brilliant producer with Gonzalez, the gifted
easy,
director.
Bill, easy. Now stop it right in here. Look at, count the white. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 men, and 1 blue guy to block for you there.
Look at
upfield.
this.
Well done, gentlemen. Andre Rison, I don't know what he's breathing in there, but it's super stuff. The way he moved on that last play. All right, it would appear, and at least Don Shula thinks, an onside kick is ensuing.
Dick, if he gets it over the top and then get him inside the 10-yard line, because by the alignment, Miami doesn't have people deep. They're just looking for an onside kick. If they can get to it down there, they can get the ball back with just maybe 20, 30 seconds left in the game. Provided they call a timeout the first 2 downs.
And then stop them on the 3rd.
And then on the 3rd down stop, and that'll take at least 40 seconds right there on that 3rd down.
That's where that 45-second clock is just a killer in these final 2 minutes.
So the kicking team has an advantage here if they'll kick away, because there won't be much of a return. They've got to get by that front line.
Biasucci.
Good strategy.
And Schwades goes all the way back to the, no, he's going to run it out. 5-10. And that's exactly what happens. It gets to the 13-yard line, and a flag is down as well. Kurt Larson made the tackle. Let's check other scores. All late in the 4th. Cleveland apparently is going to move on to their 6th win against 3 defeats. Houston has battled back after Detroit gave them a scare. Buffalo still hanging by 1 late at Atlanta. The Jets by 5. The Bears by 6. Defensive battle at Green Bay. Minnesota leads by 4 on Rich Carlos's 6 field goals, and Kansas City has built a 10-point lead. We're going to see Kansas City and Denver next Sunday out at Arrowhead, Bill.
Well, we talked about Kansas City before the season started being so brilliantly coached and managed by Schottenheimer and Carl Peterson that as the season progressed, Kansas City is going to come back and win their share of games. This is a good situation now for Indianapolis. They couldn't ask for anything more. They've got to make the stop right here.
And they get Ron Davenport for a yard gain and use one of the 2 timeouts remaining. So 1:32 left. Another play, and they'll call timeout again. We have to assume that only 5 or 6 seconds would be used on the next play. Let's say 7 to keep it even. It'd be 1:25. Then they can't stop the clock. So 1:25 and a 45 would mean that they conceivably could get the ball, as you say, 20 to 30 seconds to go.
And they'll have the ball at midfield most likely, and they are going to look for a punt return. Now, don't be shocked if Don Shula doesn't throw a play-action pass here with Marino. If it's incomplete, then he's really hurt himself, because there's a timeout that he hasn't picked up from Indianapolis. But Marino is famous for this play pass, and he's done it before.
And our thanks. Well, we have a moment to all the men and women. Brought you the pictures and sounds from Southern Florida. Joe C. Costanza, Steve Bazika, Harry Von Susko, Ken Lee, Rick Butner, Gary Bazance, our choreographer from Miami. Davenport cut down on a good low tackle, and there's the timeout as Fred Young knifed through for the stop at the 12-yard line. Stay with us. At the final gun, we'll be switching with you to the Coliseum in Los Angeles, California, where Charlie Jones and Merlin Olsen are standing by to bring you the Bengals and the Raiders. Cincinnati tied with Cleveland starting today atop the Central Division 5-3, and the Raiders, after a slow start, rallying, are 4-4, 2 games back of Denver in the West. 3rd down and 6. Make it 5. 3rd and 5. No timeouts. That's a real gamble here. You throw the ball, you're risking the incomplete pass and giving, in essence, giving the Colts 45 seconds.
Chance to stop the clock. Yes, that means if they have one timeout, they can throw down the middle and use their timeout. If they don't, they're going to have to go to the sideline with their passes and their runs.
They don't have any timeouts left. key here is to stop Marino and the Dolphins, who come out with 4 wide receivers, interestingly, and Marino in the shotgun. Is this that Jim Jensen draw? Yes, it is. That would seem to be the obvious play, but the Colts were surprised by it. And they get a first down, and that'll be the end of the game. That's really hard to believe. No official announcement yet, but Jim Jensen, who was on all the special teams, has made several key catches today, and now on a play that really wins the game if it's a first down, gets the handoff.
Well, you see him hold that ball in both hands. They give it to their safest, their real veteran professional in a situation like that. He's not about to fumble.
Well, Chula sent in the wide receiver look and then just stayed a safe play, the shotgun handoff, the draw, and it is a first down, and with it the clock will run from now on. A couple of kneel downs, and Don Shula will have another win in his long line of successes. Make sure everyone get out of the way, or we're not going to make any mistakes. And Ron Meyer, a very difficult loss after dropping one in overtime to New England. Boy, you would just think if you were a linebacker, you'd just be looking for that handoff to Jensen.
You'd have to think they're going to use as much of the clock as they can.
Colts might have tried to guess the snap and flick the ball away from the center. Let's see what the call is.
Well, the Colts are going to have to get back in that locker room, shower up, and decide what they're going to do with themselves.
Well, they're going to go to Buffalo next week, and that's no easy challenge. That's no place to get healthy. And Miami will be
on the center, moving his ball prior to the snap. 5-yard penalty. Clock will start on the snap.
Now time for our Most Valuable Player Award, sponsored by Budweiser. Today's MVP, The Crash.
I don't have it.
I've got it on.
Yes, she does. We'll also send this music cassette along with this for $50. For a gift of $100, we want to send you Volume 2, Volume 3 of the video cassettes. These are about an hour each. This one is 2 hours. It has all the music, and that's where Dudley and Brother Shambach are singing that great song. That's the kind of God that I serve. He's God all over the platform. He's God back at the door, etc. And then we'll have the...
Seconds tick away for Miami, 5-4, and hopes for the future for the Colts, 4-5. And all the brightness and hopes of this '89 season are mighty gray now as they head home to Indiana. They don't have to snap the ball again. Ron Meyer's team not able to do it today in Dolphin country. Coming up next, the second half of our NFL doubleheader. The Cincinnati Bengals go west to face Bo Jackson. They're ready to go against the Los Angeles Raiders. For Bill Walsh, I'm Dick Enberg. The final score here in Florida, the Miami Dolphins 19, the Indianapolis Colts 13. You've been watching NFL football from Joe Robbie Stadium on NBC Sports. That makes Trudeau look even weaker, but without really jumping on Trudeau's back unkindly, he just has not thrown the ball hard or accurately.
Well, he reminded us that he is unhappy with his progress because he's been so hot and cold. He was hot certainly in the Buffalo game we had earlier, and in this game it's worse than cold. It's just inept. He's got talent, and I think he has to get his mind straight. He knows that. He reminds us of that.
Don Struck said he's too sensitive. Jim Jensen with that little draw out of the shotgun, and he'll be short of the first down, 4th and about 3, and the punting team will come on, but the clock continues to go, and by the time the Colts get it, there'll be less than 4 minutes remaining.
Don Shula's cleverly just using that clock up. He wasn't as concerned about the 4th down or making the first down as he was using 40-plus seconds off that clock. So there's the veteran coach who knows how to methodically win a football game in its later stages.
Down by 13, the Colts need 2 possessions and 2 touchdowns. This man can get you a touchdown in a hurry, Verdun. Roby drives a wobbly kick to Verdun. He didn't touch it, I don't believe. Picked up by Charles Washington, and Washington gets it to the 29-yard line.
That was not a tough play by Verdun. He saw the rushers and took his eye off the ball.
43-yard punt, 6-yard return, 3:30 to go. Obviously a disagreement with Marino and Shula.
Well, Don Shula compares Marino with Dan Fouts as to demanding perfection from his teammates. And most often is positive, but on occasion he upsets and frustrates his teammates. But it takes the maturity of a Don Shula to handle the emotional, almost eccentric Marino.
Screen pass is too short, and Bentley can't make the catch. Trudeau having trouble even hitting that one.
Well, he's playing very, very tenuous, but I think the word timid is part of it. I know he's frustrated now, and most likely Ron Meyer is going to just let him sink or swim in a sense.
2nd and 10 with 3 minutes and 24 seconds to go. This is going to be an awful tough game to digest for Ron Meyer. He hasn't seen, especially offensively, very much to like.
They just came out flat.
There's a good-looking throw, and there's interference. That ball had something on it. And Brooks was hit before it arrived by Lewis Oliver. John Offerdahl was charging in on the quarterback.
Offerdahl was unblocked as he came up the field.
That's number 25. First down.
So Oliver, the rookie, a little too quick in getting to the receiver.
You see Offerdahl coming late, right up the middle. Well thrown, but of course there was interference. The contact was made clearly before the ball came close to arriving.
3:18 left in the game. 19-6. Miami leads. To the sidelines to Brooks.
That's just not going to get it done. But again, the line stunt brought an unblocked man right down the throat of Trudeau that time. Now, Tomberlin playing right tackle, it could be that not having played that much, he's a rookie, he's not reading line stunts very well. He's not picking up the proper man.
Stops the clock with 3:11. 6-yard gain.
They have to get the ball down the field. I think it's very, very obvious. Everyone knows it. But they do have the quick receivers that can make big plays.
Trudeau. And he's down to the 44-yard line, and a first down for the Colts. 12 yards.
An earlier play, he had a chance to, when he threw that offensive pass interference play earlier, if he'd have run in that case, we would have had an impact on the defense. Now, it naturally is too late.
Quick huddle, 2:45. They have their 3 timeouts remaining, plus the 2-minute timeout. Trudeau to the tight end, Mark Boyer. Short gain to the 37, but again, that's too little yardage, and it consumes too much time, and in this case also forces one to use a timeout. So 2:32 remaining in the final quarter, and Ron Meyer's Colts, frustrated offensively, still sit on just a pair of field goals.
Well, Ron Meyer compared the 2 quarterbacks for us, and naturally indicated that Marino is one of the greatest. He's got the quickest arm he's ever seen, and went on and on, which certainly makes sense, especially the day before a game with him. But he also indicated that Trudeau is very mechanical, and they'd like to clear that and also develop Trudeau's patience as a football player. But Ron did